for the State podcast. And this is the call for every red-blooded, God-fearing, liberty-loving patriot to prepare yourself, take your position,
stand your ground,
and advance the cause of freedom. Let's go.
All right. Well, welcome to the Jake for the State podcast and recording on the road this time. So for you guys watching this on YouTube or on video, you can tell that I have my mobile studio set up. We are on the road on this run as I am trekking across the state of Oklahoma down Route 66. Of course, part of my campaign for governor. I'm not taking any lobbyist or PAC money. Not taking the millions of dollars. So that means I have to work 10 times harder. And one of the ways I'm doing that is going out straight to the people, which I think is the way we should all do it anyway. I love coming out with the people. I love knocking doors, sitting down with business owners and school teachers and just your average everyday Oklahoman, learning about what's important to them. That is what it's all about. And you get reconnected to the heart of what it's about when you're out here, boots on the ground. And I am literally shoes on the ground down Route 66, the historic Mother Road across the state. You know, Oklahoma has the longest stretch of Route 66 than any other state. It's about 400 miles. And this year, of course, is the centennial celebration of Route 66. So it's lots of attention on the Mother Road. And I decided this is a great opportunity, not only to celebrate Route 66 and celebrate Oklahoma, but to connect with the people in a real, tangible way, but then also bring the necessary attention to the campaign, to my campaign for governor, because I, again, will not have the millions of dollars to fund the television ads and the relentless mailers that all of you are getting in your mailboxes. Don't you love that? Don't you love the 10 mailers a day with nothing but the truth, right? You know that everything on those mailers is absolutely true, right? Yeah, we all know better than that right now. So I've decided not to pursue that route, not to go down that path, and instead go to the people. And it's been beautiful. So many amazing conversations and just learning the history of Oklahoma, too, the history of Route 66. It's been incredible. So I'm on this journey with you. It's actually a historic run. I've talked to a lot of people, and I haven't met anyone yet who knows of a gubernatorial candidate who's done this. So this will be a first for a gubernatorial candidate in Oklahoma, and I would probably contend any other state that's made a journey like this for their campaign. So pretty cool, making some history while we're running for governor, representing the people, fighting on behalf of the people. And it's been quite the journey. Challenging. I got to plug my computer in here before it dies. Challenging for sure. Got in late last night from a meeting, and then up early to start again. But man, so worth it. But I'm not the only one running. We have other great candidates that are also running for different offices around the state. One of them is Miss Lisa Janloo, running for labor commissioner in the state of Oklahoma. And we're going to get right to her and talk about why she's running and what she's running for. First, I want to bring some attention to our great sponsors. You know, of course, Michael McGuire with McGuire Capital. He has beneficiary review, retirement planning, financial needs analysis. He just customizes your personal need, your risk assessment, determining what is the best investment for you. So give him a call today, 405-760-5863, or visit McGuireCap.com. And then, of course, we love Modus Health out in Yukon, Oklahoma, doing amazing things, not only for my family, but for families all across the state. Neuropathy treatment, personalized nutraceutical supplements. You can find out more at modushealth.com or give them a call directly, 405-494 0165. Dr. Moss and his team are the best, I promise you. That's why me and my family go there. And then, of course, as I'm running down Route 66, I see all kinds of traffic, including trucks with the big Stevens Trucking on them. We love Stevens Trucking, an Oklahoma-based family-owned company, and they can help you with all of your transportation trucking needs. So check them out at stevenstrucking.com. All right, now on to my first guest, my only guest today, but a great guest, Miss Lisa Janloo. Lisa, welcome.
Good morning, Jake. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, doing good. It's so good to have you here this morning. I talked a
Glad
little
to
bit
be
about
here.
my race for governor, but your race, we're lots of eyes on your race, running for labor commissioner here in Oklahoma. So, give us a
Yes.
little background on yourself, Lisa, and why you're running for this particular position.
Yes, absolutely. So I live in the northwest side of Oklahoma City. I think when you and I first met, when I got involved in politics and local community, I was living in Spencer at the time, but I've moved
Right.
recently the last few years. But I own my own business. I come from a family of everyone owning some kind of small business on different varieties on the scale. But also the last 10 years, I've been getting Oklahomans to work. I've said as the president of Star Foundation, we help men and women that have been incarcerated get back in the workforce, which today, after I get off the show with you, I'm headed to the Panhandle to a correctional center to talk to the men there about getting out in the workforce. I also have helped our homeless population when our refugee population came in. So I have constantly been involved in the community, getting people to work and working with small businesses, being their advocate to the state level when our county commissioners are trying to raise our sales tax. Hey, we can't do that because we are going to hurt small businesses. So I have constantly, like you said earlier on the show, been boots on the ground with our community, with our workforce, advocating for them and for the people of Oklahoma. So I didn't feel any other race but this one fit perfectly for the experience and the knowledge that I have for over a decade now.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yes, I remember the first day I met you and your father out in Spencer. I was actually running for Congress at the time. We were out campaigning, knocking doors. That's been our method from the beginning, is going out to the people. But we saw you and your father and love him. How is he doing?
Oh, he's doing well. He's in DC and he always asks about you and Nicole, and he'll be back April 15th because he's going to be here till primaries to help out with the campaign.
Oh, good, good. Well, tell him we said
Yes,
hi.
I will.
And he and your family, you're Iranian, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
I'm half. My dad came to the United States when the Islamic regime took over.
Wow. When was that? I mean, when did he come here?
Late 70s, 79, 78. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. And so he's lived through this firsthand. And I want to talk about your run for labor commissioner, but man, such an important time in our nation's history that obviously has impact here on the state of Oklahoma too. But this war in Iran right now, and I'd love to get your take on it. Obviously, you have direct ties there. I see your hat. Explain your hat this morning.
Yes. Make Iran great again. I usually don't wear hats for any interviews or podcasts, but today it's fitting with my Charlie Kirk Freedom shirt because it is the new year for Iran, for Persia. A lot of people know it as Persian. And so, with this new year, and the Iranians say, with this rescue mission Trump has started, it's not a war to them, it's a rescue mission that they soon will see freedoms that we get and that we are blessed and grateful to have here in the United States. So people are happy in Iran. Unfortunately, we see I'm sure you've seen it. I see it all the time on social media. People from the left, they're complaining, hands off of Iran, and it's so frustrating because they don't understand that the people of Iran have been living under war for the last 47 years, and for them to come out and say this is a rescue mission, not a war. They are on their rooftops celebrating. They're dancing. There's a video there, a bomb drops in the background, and they're dancing and like celebrating that it dropped because they have been living under this brutal, murderous regime. And for whatever reason our left it just wants to ignore it, like they're the good guys, and not to mention they're the largest sponsor of terror. That, when people are like, we should think of America first. Well, President Trump absolutely thought about America first doing this, because if it wasn't my lifetime, it definitely would be our kids, that they would come in and do what they can to completely get rid of the United States.
Yeah, well, that has been their mantra since their existence, is death to America.
Yes.
And they are intent on destroying the West, leading with America, and then Israel next. And I would say too, it seems to be not just the left, but many on the right too have concerns over the war and the conversation surrounding the influence of Israel here. Are we fighting Israel's war on their behalf? And so lots of narratives around there. I don't want to get into all the minutia around that conversation, but I felt it was very interesting. Your heritage, your background, being Iranian. Do you still have family over there?
Yes,
Okay.
we do. Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
and what are they saying right now? I guess they're among the crowds that are celebrating this.
Yes, yeah, they are. And
Wow.
I think people look at us crazy, like, how do you guys celebrate war? But that I think people don't understand how evil this regime, this Islamic regime is. I tell
Mm,
people all the time, when you think about Sharia law, look at Iran.
mm,
Iran is the perfect example of a country that is under Sharia law and what's happening. Just recently, there were 5 to 7 nurses that went to prison in Iran because they were helping protesters that were peacefully protesting. They got shot and they were helping them. So they went to prison for helping the protesters. They raped the women, removed all their, women parts, and they are just evil.
yeah,
Who who does that?
right. Yeah, you said it. It's evil, and that they have not been shy or hesitant about saying that America is their primary target. And so I think
Mhm.
this is, like you said, in keeping with an America First agenda, is to eliminate this threat that has been very vocal about targeting the West, specifically America, but then their own people too. I mean, I can understand why the celebration from those in Iran, and the
Mhm.
freedom that they're hoping for. And so we are praying for Iran and praying for this freedom, that they could finally enjoy the freedoms we enjoy here in the West. And so of course, we're all hoping and praying for a short end to this war, that it would not be elongated, it would not be prolonged and drawn out like Afghanistan. So I'm hoping we can resolve this very quickly and get in leadership, and then not try to lead the way, but turn it over to them for them to dictate their own future. But man, praying for your family and the others over there during
Yeah.
this very sensitive time. But thank you for bringing that attention to that. I think it's a great. So did you say that today marked the new year for Iran? Is that right? What it,
Correct. It's their New Year's today. Yeah.
okay, wow, wow.
Yeah.
And what calendar is that based on?
Oh, Jake, you had asked me that. I not sure.
Okay, yeah. That's all right. That's all right. Just a spontaneous question.
I'm not
Curious.
sure.
Um,
Let me tell you something. Growing up, my dad is very proud of being Iranian. He is. He loves
yeah,
his birth home. And I speak Farsi, and we know like the New Year falls either on the 20th, 21st. Each year is different. But my dad is very America first. So I
yeah,
I say that to say, I mean, as much as we've learned some about Iran culture, I mean, it was mostly we need to take pride in the United States, because he says all the time, without the United States and what it gave him, he wouldn't be here. we wouldn't have the lives that we have. His grandkids wouldn't. I mean, he respects this country. And I tell him all the time, he needs to go do a class for a lot of immigrants that are coming here and explain his journey. And because he's passionate about it. I mean, when he sees a lot of the Afghan Muslims that wear their outfits, it drives him crazy. And he said the biggest mistake that the United States did was letting Muslims in. And I guess he could say that he was from the region, he understands it, but he says it's very disrespectful to our country because of what they teach and what they promote. So he's very passionate about the United States. So um, joking and laughing, yeah, I don't know the count because we weren't taught in depth that, because what we were taught is the United States. So
Yeah, no, that's so good. Well, and you yourself, you're a Christian.
yes.
And
Yes.
so do you have any thoughts on the conversation surrounding the influence of Islam here in America and the caution against Sharia law, the effort to ban that in our courts? I mean, what are your thoughts surrounding that conversation?
About a month ago, I had an event in Edmond, and I had Representative Woolley as one of our guests there, speaking about his House Bill 1040 to ban Sharia law. And
Yeah,
we had over 100 Persian people from Oklahoma County that showed up to support his efforts. And because what they wanted to make a statement to Oklahoma and say, we absolutely don't need this. And like I said earlier, look at Iran, right? So when we already looked at it's failed miserably in other countries, why would we want to bring the same practices here in Oklahoma or this nation? So 100% against it, and I don't understand people who are for it. I don't understand their logic. It's not compatible. My dad always says, and he said it before, this big Islam and Sharia law has been a big deal this last year. Islam is a political ideology. It's not a real religion. And he said, and which makes a lot of sense, that I'm taking it from my dad. When you look at the Quran and you read it, and it talks about basically if you don't follow the certain points of their prophet and what they believe in, that you must kill. They're infidels, right? You must kill. And so we don't have a bunch of murder happening here in the United States, right? All the people who are Muslims, they're not killing because they go and support these LGBTQ groups. That should be the first group that should go that's against their religion. So he says all the time, it's not a real religion, it's a political ideology. And I mean, his point exact. If you're Muslim, then you'd be killing all these people. And that's not happening.
absolutely. Well, such an important point to note for people that want to get to know you and where you stand on this. I think it's important that people educate themselves and understand that just because you're from the Middle East or from Persia or from Iran, you're not necessarily Muslim, right? I mean, there's actually a thriving Christian church. Well, I think one of the fastest growing Christian churches in the world is in Iran. I love that even in
Yes.
the middle of all of the persecution, the Christian church is thriving, mostly underground, but nonetheless still one of the fastest growing churches in the world.
Oh, absolutely. And, people forget before this Islamic regime occupied Iran, and I say occupied because that's not who the Iranian people are. They've come in and taken over. But before they've occupied Iran, the country of Iran, Persian people, we got to remember they were the biggest allies of the United States. And there were so many people who were Christians that were open about it before this Islamic regime took over and had to flee the country. And so I tell people all the time, don't confuse the people of Iran with this Islamic regime government that's occupying their country. Iran is very different than Afghanistan. It's very different than Iraq. They have the most educated men and women in the region. So when people talk about war and how long can they take over, this is not, I say it's not Afghanistan, it's not Iraq. This outcome will be very different. They have very intelligent people. They already have a leader that they want to transition them in. So I see a very hopeful and bright future for Iran.
I love that. We'll continue
And
to pray for them.
yes, and I want to say this. You've prayed for my son many times within this past year, and he was in the hospital a few days ago. I had to take him to the ER because he was having another heart issue. And he's sitting there, Jake, and he is smiling and he's laughing. And I'm like, buddy, he just said, Mommy, he's having a lot of chest pain and we're having to monitor it. And I said, with all the pain and you suffer, how are you still smiling? Because it motivates me. When we're on this campaign
All right.
trail in life, you get all this stuff happening and it's hard to smile sometimes, right? You're tired, there's stuff going on. And he said, Mommy, Jesus is in my heart. Jesus is
Uh,
in all of our heart. And, it was such a proud moment for me as a mom because, like, I was raised from my dad. The best gift you can give your kid is a relationship with God and Jesus Christ. And so, for him to know it at 8 and feel it and live it, right? He's literally in good spirits because Jesus is in his heart. So it's very motivating for me. And
so
I wanted to share that with you today.
so good. Thank you. I love that. That is what it's all about. Beyond all of the political stuff, there is a
Mhm.
kingdom that will never end. And when you're rooted in him, then you have that joy that cannot be touched. I love it. I
That's
love it.
right.
Well, continue prayers
That's
for your
right.
son too.
Thank you,
Um,
Jake.
well, hey, let's jump into your race, your run for labor commissioner. And just to touch on a little bit, people may be wondering, okay, what's the role of labor commissioner and really to protect workers, from exploitation, ensure
Mhm.
compliance with state labor standards, providing the education and the outreach to employers and employees, and then carrying out just legislative mandates that may come from the legislature. So,
Mhm.
talk to me about your understanding of this role and why the time for you to run.
So I love your breakdown of them. So a lot of people they're not familiar with labor commissioner, which is concerning. When we have a position on the ballot, our voters need to know from top to bottom what each position offers them. Right? We work for the people, and I tell people all the time. Governor race is important, lieutenant governor race is important. Those are really the key races people are focusing on. But school superintendent and labor commissioner is just as important because they touch everyone in Oklahoma, affect them somehow. And I
Yeah.
tell people on the campaign trail, the labor commissioner, I like to say in a nutshell, is the compliance department. So when we think about businesses and following rules and making sure people are safe, a lot of permitting come out of the labor department. That is what it is. There's two images through this campaign trail that are two sayings we get. And as a business owner, I know and work with other business owners. When you say labor department, Jake, they get scared. They're like, uh-oh, I'm in trouble. What did I do? Right? Because
Yeah.
they're there to enforce the law. Um, and so we have to change that image because really the labor department's there to be mediator, not the big bad guys. And so as next labor commissioner, my duty is to make sure that the people know the labor commissioner and the labor department work for you. And so for the businesses, instead of them being scared, is hey, how can we help you? Here are your resources and tools for you to be successful because we know when our businesses are successful, our communities are thriving, and that's what we want. And then second, I'm going to make it my mission the next election cycle that everyone knows what a labor commissioner is. And how
Right.
they know that is I say on my campaign trail that we are the boots on the ground connecting dots all over Oklahoma. And that's what the same motto will go into the labor commissioner. We will be everywhere and anywhere in Oklahoma, making sure everyone gets their needs and and the things that they need to succeed.
That's wonderful. I mean, this people first is getting back to the heart of what our republic is really all about. And it's what my campaign is about. I celebrate any other campaign that makes that their priority, is to put the interest of the people first rather than the interest of the state, and have this tyrannical view of imposing these regulations and enforcing these rules on the people. This undermines the free market. It undermines incentive and motivation and hope and the things that are needed to own your own business. We all know that owning your own business is hard.
That's
I own
right.
my own business and always have, really, since college, since I graduated. I've always had my own business of some kind, and it's hard. It's hard to grow and employ and do all of the necessary things in a business. And so it's my goal to remove and reduce red tape. What can we do about regulations? I bring this stat up all the time in my campaign that we are, according to a 2024 study, we are the 17th most regulated state in the union. And that's surprising to a lot of people that the red state of Oklahoma ranks at the top quarter of the states that are one of the most regulated states with 142,000 regulations on the books. And I contend that makes doing business harder. And so is there anything you could do as labor commissioner in that role of the red tape, the regulations that make doing business hard?
So when we talk about regulation here in Oklahoma and the labor department, like I tell people all the time, labor commissioner cannot change the laws, right? We enforce them, and we can advocate for our business owners. And how we know what they want is by going out, talking to the people, and seeing what works for them and what doesn't. And so, for example, the E-Verify bill that was out, I'm sure you're familiar with. Me as a business owner, big companies that use E-Verify, and people weren't happy with the government saying, hey, you have to use this software. Now, I'm not for illegal immigration, but I just felt like that was an immigration issue that was being forced upon business owners. And we would have to find different avenues, because as working in business and knowing there's a lot of bad actors out there that are doing a lot of things under the table. And so what we need is a commissioner that's in there that's familiar with these programs like E-Verify and other things like that will harm small businesses, and then that has the experience and knowledge of working in the field to know, let's come to the table and what works for Oklahoma. What do businesses of Oklahoma want? And what I'm hearing is they don't want an immigration issue pushed on their business. And I know there was an argument that it didn't cost anything, but what people have to understand, you have a business, you understand when you have to take time away from your business, that costs you. That costs you money. And so that's just an example of another regulating item for our businesses that we don't need, but we need someone in there that has the experience, that understands why that was not good for our businesses, that also have been working with other businesses that say, hey, we don't want this for our business. So
yeah, I had the same position on E-Verify. That was my concern, is just one more mandate on small businesses. And,
yes.
I know the intent is to remove the incentive that would be a magnet for illegal immigrants, that if we want to make it harder for them to take American jobs. But what people often overlook is the burden placed on the business owner. More regulation, more centralized data collection, more requirements for even legitimate American citizens to have to go through this vetting process. And so, I like it as a tool for businesses to use, but I don't like the mandate, the requirement for all businesses to use them as well. So I'm with you on that.
Yeah, and actually, I worked with companies that use it, right? They can use it by choice, and we were getting people employed. And here's the problem: when people want to hire an employee, okay, and we'll take the illegal part out of it, just an Oklahoman that just graduated school and is ready to go get a job, right? They have their social, their ID, everything they need. What we have to remember, software and technology is software, and it comes with a lot of ups and downs, and it doesn't tell you when one day it doesn't want to work or when it's having a hiccup, right? And what I experienced a lot, and a lot of these big companies were frustrated with, is when they go to hire, is because they need people to push production, and they need their numbers, and they need their stuff shipped out, right? And when you can't get an employee verified through this E-Verify that they're legal, then it pushes them back. And then at that point, while they're waiting for the green light, they cannot let that person go, because then they're, legally, can get in trouble in other ways, right? So now their production has stopped. Now let's look on, that's the employer side, that their numbers are stopped. They need to make money. They need to put stuff out. But then let's look on the employee side. they want to start making money. They've got bills to pay, kids to feed, and they are on yield with this e-verify because they're having technical stuff. It is not pushing through like, you know, people would like for it to do a quick turnaround, but that's not the case. And so now they're not making money. Their bills are getting behind. They need food in their house. So we have to see all those aspects too. And that was something I advocated for, that this is not good for businesses or Oklahoma to be mandated. Now, if someone wants to use it, sure, go ahead. But I don't think the government should be telling businesses you have to do this.
Yeah, exactly. And then the error rate for those, it's not foolproof, right? And so there are ways around it with false identities, false social security cards, and so there's ways for illegals to even get around this. It's not 100% successful, and even indicating, flagging those that are here illegally. So yeah, I agree with you on that. Now, another big topic when it comes to businesses that is talked about a lot right now because of a state question here in Oklahoma. Oh, we lost your video here. Okay. Do I still have you?
I hear you. I see you, but
okay. I see you too. I just lost your video,
Oh.
so hopefully, well, I'll continue here, and you can address it. The issue of minimum wage, and so my position on minimum wage is I just don't like minimum wage altogether. And you as labor commissioner, you would be there to protect the interest of employers and employees. And many people see minimum wage as a protection for the employees, that they get a fair wage. And we don't want exploitation of laborers, and we don't want child laborers and all these kinds of things. My perspective on minimum wage is that it should be at the discretion of the employer, that they can pay whatever they can afford. And then the employer can decide if they want to work for those wages or not. If they don't like the wages, they can go find employment somewhere else. But so personally, I would like to remove minimum wage altogether and just let the free market work. But there is a push right now in Oklahoma with a state question to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. And then it would continue to raise progressively as the economy grows. So what are your thoughts on minimum wage?
So I just want to address I've heard a lot of people want to do away with minimum wage, and I understand your argument or your views on that side. Unfortunately, the society we live in, and we can't help it, there are a lot of bad actors out there. And so when that minimum wage is put in place, where it is to give a set bar of saying, hey, you have to at least pay this, right? Because there are businesses here in Oklahoma that pay people $2 an hour, work 12-hour shifts, 7 days a week. And they tell them, we will pay you this cash, then you can go file for food stamps, Medicaid, and so on. So, we might have businesses that will pay what's the fair market for this job, and then you're going to have a lot that doesn't. And I think that the minimum wage sets a bar, right, of saying, hey, this is something fair across the table, because there's a lot of bad guys out there, and I think they just keep going. And because we have a lot of politicians that ignore the bad guys, and so when we have places like this and we don't really have teeth behind our laws to go after them, I think this is a good safety net for those people to protect them against those bad guys, if that makes sense. Now, increasing the minimum wage to $15 an hour, I tell people all the time, we are not California or anywhere else. And I believe our red state, we push a lot of taxes. I was just at the county commissioner meeting a month or so ago, reminding our two Republican county commissioners that, hey, we don't want to increase sales taxes on businesses. So when we have a bunch of different avenues where people are wanting to, and they are passing property, a bond every year seems to be passed for schools, so our property taxes go up. We want a new sales tax. We have all these taxes that we're not supposed to be for as Republicans. And then we wonder why the other side are pushing to say they want minimum wage increase, so what we need to do is stop increasing taxes, connect the dots from our vocational, our technical schools, our high schools to our businesses, get people connected to real jobs that make decent money and they have something they can be proud of. And I don't believe minimum wage would even be on the table for discussion when we eliminate all the taxes that we're trying to raise, provide people opportunity for a bright future. I don't think minimum wage would even be a problem at that point.
Yeah, no, I like that argument. Is let's start with what's driving this conversation, and let's help people keep more of their money in the first place, and they won't be pushing for higher minimum wage. And so 100%, I mean, I do get sick of the quote unquote Republicans constantly vouching for another tax, another agency, board, or commission that now we have to fund. And then on the mailers, though, they like to tout that they eliminated the grocery tax. They're part of one of the biggest tax cuts in state history. But on a day-to-day basis, there tends to be a trend and a pattern of growing government and increasing taxes, which just increases the burden on the everyday Oklahoman. And then it prompts discussions like minimum wage increase.
That's right.
So yeah, I like that argument. Let's get back to the fundamentals as conservatives and talk about truly reducing the size of government first and then lowering taxes 100%.
Yes.
Now, Lisa, what makes you the best candidate for this position? Is there something unique that separates you from anyone else running for this position?
Yeah, so I mean, I think hearing it today, you see my argument about the minimum wage, about the tax increase, about programs that I've led and getting people to work in Oklahoma. The difference is that I have been in the communities, connected with the people, not just this campaign cycle. For almost a decade now, I have been working with the people of Oklahoma. When you look at my supporters, there is a variety of people that respect me and support me and trust me. And trust is a big thing, especially in politics. People don't trust politicians or people in politics anymore. They trust me because you know why taxes are getting increases, because people don't realize you have to focus on your local politics. I was showing up to city council meetings, school board meetings, county commissioner meetings. I know what's happening at all levels of government. And I think that alone sets me apart because how active I am and know what's happening. So when there's an issue that it comes across the table as the next labor commissioner, it won't be something new. I won't be a deer in headlights like, okay, well, who do I need to go talk to? Because I'm so active, I understand it. You talked about lobbyist money and PAC money. I'm the only candidate in my race that does not accept PAC or lobbyist money. The other two candidates I run against, they have. And people say, well, what is the big deal? What is your look on lobbyists and PAC money? Well, here's the thing. I'm sure you know. Money is the strings to the puppet. I say it's a puppet. There's the puppet master, there's the strings to the puppet, and the puppet's the candidate accepting the money from the puppet master. And they are to do what is told of them, what's being shared. And so I don't accept that because there's no way someone's controlling me. I tell people I don't play the gray area. I'm either right or wrong. It's black or white, right? So whatever's right for the people of Oklahoma and what they want is what's going to happen. And nobody can persuade my decision for that.
Well, I commend you for that. Again, I've taken the same commitment, and that trend is growing here in Oklahoma with more and more candidates making this commitment not to take lobbyist or PAC money for that main reason is that we want to truly serve the people and not be influenced by these outside powers. And so, which really come into play during the reelection cycle. That's what I'm seeing is that it's there can be an influence during your time of service, but then largely it's about that reelection. That's where the string is held. Like, hey, if we helped you get here, if you want to stay here, we can help you stay here if you do X, Y, and Z. And then you start turning your attention to these special interests rather than to the people themselves that you're elected to serve. So yeah, I commend you on that. And I think, that alone is worthy of consideration for everyone listening to you and considering who they want for their next labor commissioner. So Lisa, so appreciate you and your time here this morning. Again, I have the banner here posted, Janloo for oklabor.com. Go check her out, find out more about her. How can people get in touch with you directly if they have a question?
My cell phone's out there, 405-588-7803. Call me, text me anytime. I that's just the best way to get to people. I had someone call me and they were so surprised I answered my phone, and that should not be the look for any candidate or politicians. That's what we're here to serve you, and we have to be accessible and available. So
wonderful. Well, go check her out, guys. Janloo for oklabor.com. Lisa, so appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Jay. Good luck on your race. You're doing great.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.
All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. Be sure to, of course, like, share, and subscribe. This helps get the message out and helps the rest of the state understand who's running. And it's very critical, these positions. And we have some important elections coming up. So be sure to get the word out, help people understand who's running for what position and what the positions are for. All right. Appreciate you guys. Be sure to check out our sponsors in the show notes, and I'll see you next time.